Ladies and gentlemen, with Grant Turner, I'm David Mirikitani, absent Mark Ostrander today for the final episode of Weighing In 2021. We're brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. It would make sense, GT, that on the final episode, I couldn't stick the landing on the entrance.
It just brings us full circle, and then 2022 is going to be a great year.
Just going to crush it coming in, trying to set the bar low on the last episode on the way out.
Just sliding into 2022, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, we're going to take a few minutes at the end and talk about our moments of the year and things like that. Let's start with the holiday tournaments. So I think most people know this. Midlands was canceled. I'm going to throw out everything that happened, GT, and it's a lot, and then get your opinions on any or all of it. Midlands was canceled. Then Illinois Matmen, which is basically Izzy and Frank Popolizio and Izzy Martinez, put a tournament, and Willie Saylor. Don't want to forget him. He did a great job. Put that tournament together. Hawkeye Open was created and closed all within 3 or 4 days. And then Northwestern decided to go ahead and hold a tri-meet at the same place and same time that they were going to have the Midlands. Scuffle is still going and actually picked up at least 1 or 2 other teams because of all the transitioning. So you're a college coach. I know you set your schedule up ahead of time. I know you guys don't wrestle this particular weekend because of the multi-divisional national duels, which are, I think, January 6th and 7th, if not those exact dates, right around those dates. Give your kids some time to go home, see their family, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, first, the Midlands being canceled. I mean, it's a shame that ended up having to happen. I think we talked last week about the ability of the wrestling community to like pop up and create opportunities for guys to be able to compete. The Hawkeye Open, the Illinois Matman, basically we can put some stuff together and everyone's going to rush to, be able to compete. So, so far so good. I mean, people showed up, they weren't busts. Like there's great matches going on. There's high school kids that have, done well at least some of these opens. I mean, not to jump ahead on some of the results already, but there's some great matches. Austin Gomez is back competing. That's another really cool thing to kind of allude to is that, hey, we're going to start to see the second semester guys coming out of the woodwork here at these holiday events and being able to, just kind of see where people are at.
Yeah. So I have pulled up, and they're on Turnaflex, TOURNAFLEX.com. It's interesting. These brackets are called the Midlands brackets, which is not the Illinois Matman Open brackets. They're called the Midlands brackets. This is where Frank Pop puts a lot of his stuff for the Journeyman Classics. We can go through all of these brackets pretty quickly if you want. Not a ton of highly ranked guys here, a lot of bodies here, though. They did a great job putting it together. So this was, as of this morning, Shaver against Miller in the semis, Cardani and Lorenzo. And rather than go through each of these brackets, we'll just let people know this is where they are. It's turnaflex.com. You just go in and find Midlands. You're going to brackets. They're really the only one that are there right now. The way they break out the team scores is very cool, though. They break it out by placing points, advancement points, and bonus points. So that's, I think, very cool. I mean, obviously, at the end, it's a sum. And if you have more than me, you're above me. But maybe I had more bonus points and you had more placement points. I think that's an interesting thing, especially if you're a dork like me and kind of like to look at that stuff. So, the interesting thing, I think I told you this off the air, I was actually going to do the play-by-play for the Hawkeye Open. So, that was nice to be included in that. And then obviously when it didn't happen, you make some hotel changes and you got to figure out what you're doing for New Year's Eve now, rather than spend it in Coralville. And originally I went from a 2-day to a 1-day to a no day. Let me ask you this. I have my own opinion, but I will hold it to you speak on it first. Do you think the Midlands is back, or do you think it's done?
I think Midlands will always be Midlands. So if Northwestern wants to hold a tournament called Midlands, I think it'll just be a normal Saturday tournament. I think the days of the Midlands being the premier holiday tournament, in just my wrestling opinion, I don't think it's that way anymore. I think it's still prestigious. I still think it's a great institution. I think it's a great tournament. It's always been a great tournament. I just think that there's more opportunities elsewhere now. So it's kind of like made its mark, but it'll always still be there. It'll just be, in my opinion, maybe a lesser version of what it was.
I'm interested to see if you're right. I feel like there's sharks in the water, right? Like these people came out of the, as I told you last week, St. Louis was possibly in on this, right? So when I say sharks in the water, that sounds negative and I shouldn't say it that way, but people are going to jump up, and Willie and Izzy and Frank did not do this to be a replacement. They did this to do this long term. When I talked to Luke Eustace, he's like, we're going to do it next year and we're going to get schools on board and we're going to have that women's division and it's going to be epic. And, there's obviously, I think one of the other things to talk about the Hawkeye Open, which I talked to Eustace about, but I would like to get this out there. University of Iowa, was not planning on sending any starters to the Midlands anyway, because they wrestled in the collegiate duels. Now, you can argue whether or not that's a good or bad decision. That was their decision. They decided it ahead of time, but it was different from years previously where they sent usually their whole starting lineup because this other event didn't happen 7 days beforehand. And they're working on load management or cycling or peaking, whatever you want to talk about it, training cycles, wrestling cycles, rest cycles, all those kind of things. So I don't know if the press release that went out from Iowa was saying that, but I know that that was true from talking to Luke. And the squad that they're sending down to Scuffle is, I think, somewhere between 12 and 16 kids. And it's almost all red shirts or non-starters, kids that, can't use, like a Cody Seabrecht, who's had some spot duty, things like that. Like Ayala, Kennedy, those kind of guys, really good wrestlers, but not the starters. Okay, and I think that's important for people to understand. I'm also interested. I think that I hope the Iowa event happens because I think it's cool. I like to be a part of it. The Coralville event, Coralville, where they have it, is a cool venue. I don't know if people are perceiving that if they go to that, they're somehow helping the University of Iowa. And if you're trying to beat that school, I don't know if they're going to say, well, we would rather go to like Chattanooga, which isn't as big of a threat, and go to the Scuffle, or even Northwestern, which due to the academic standards, there would be almost impossible for them to have a national championship team. Like everything would have to break perfectly. So the COVID thing, I will say this, the explanation that I read in just Twitter, so it's not like an official explanation, was like, well, we don't have a 30-team tournament, but we'll have a 3-team event because one can be perceived as a super spreader and one is just an event. Do you think that's probably the logic behind why they agreed to have 2 duels and not hold the Midlands?
I would just be guessing at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're, and maybe with the Division I athletes, they have a little bit more of a, like testing protocols and, being able to step on campuses and things of that nature. You're just seeing this a lot more. I mean, transcend all sports. You're seeing, collegiate football, bowl games getting canceled due to certain things. So it's not just in the wrestling community that we're seeing maybe some higher sensitivity to, athletic events and, COVID related cancellations. So once again, them converting it to like a tri-duel or like a double duel, they're still having an event,
Right.
Now not having 70 to 80 teams with, 1 to 3 individuals that maybe don't have any testing protocols, so it could be just a safety issue for them. Not saying it's right or wrong or indifferent. It's just maybe that's their train of thought.
I think on the outside, the optics are not great that this venue closed down, for a tournament, and then they end up having a double duel or a try, and then there's another tournament there as well. Like the optics are a little difficult for like the average, just, walk, not guys like me or you that are sort of wrestling dorks. It's like, well, either you can have an event there or you can't, and anytime it requires a lot of, I heard somebody say the other day, I think it was Tom Brady on this Man in the Arena, he goes, if you're explaining, you're losing. If you're explaining yourself, you're losing. I'm not sure I agree with that entirely, but it's certainly an interesting perspective. Like if you're always having to explain why you did something, maybe you didn't do something right, or it's at least perceived that you didn't do something right. So let's talk about a tournament that is going to happen and is pretty loaded, and that's the Scuffle. So Flo has put together a gigantic list here. I think, GT, maybe we'll pick finalists. You want to pick finalists?
Sure, we can go through that pretty quick.
Okay, so 25, Cardinal, McKee, Certain, Manchio, Fabian, some bigger names, Reese Whitcraft, Giacomo Hollis, Cooper Flynn. You're also going to see Ayala in here. I think this was as of a couple days ago. I think it was as of yesterday. So who are your finalists at 25? And I will make my picks as well.
All right. I'll take Pat McKee. And I will then take No Certain.
Okay. If they're on the same side of the bracket, you're going to have problems, but I get it. So I'm going to go, I'll go Cardinal and Certain. I'll go a little homer. Take my Mizzou guy. All right, 33. I'll go first this time. Foley, Rich, Gleva, Desario, March, Tremblay, Connor Brown, Sean Carter, Crawford, Kairini, who has actually been getting some spot starts. I will take, I'm just going to go crazy off the board. I'm going to take Foley, which is not off the board. And I will go ahead and take Arini.
Okay.
Who you got?
I will take Foley and Gleva.
Okay. And I think there's some interesting matches to let, I guess we should talk about as we go through. Like, I'm interested to see, Giacomo Hollis. I wonder if they took him out of school again, so he's gray shirting and not starting. I think McKee, Certain, if that happens in the semis, is a really interesting match at 25. 33. I don't know what's wrong with Matt Schmidt, but he hasn't wrestled all year. So I wonder if Connor Brown is the guy now. If he's beat out Crawford, what's going to happen there? And then Tremblay and Arini are fighting for a spot. This is a weight that doesn't have a top 12 guy in it, according to Flo. So there's some chances some things could happen. So 41, Clay Carlson, Andrew Alirez, Keizon Clark, Alan Hart, Real Woods, Casimir, then Girardi, Martinoni, Dusty Hone, Hanlovic, Josh Saunders. Shout out to Josh, finally getting on the mat. Goes down the list. So we'll go back to the top here. I think I know who you're going to pick. Oh, wait, I go first. No, you go first. You go first.
Yeah. I'll take Carlson and Clark.
Okay. I did not think you were going to do that. I thought, which I will take, is Real Woods. And I'll take Alirez.
Okay. Reason why I didn't take Woods.
Yep.
He got a concussion at Reno. So
yeah. He got a concussion, or Mitch Moore did, or they both? Oh, at Reno. Okay.
In Reno.
Okay.
So
well, if I lose that pick, I lose that pick. We'll figure out later. I'm probably just going to buy you wings like I normally do. So it's not.
Yep. That's an extra side of blue cheese, brother. That's an extra side.
I win this weight if Saunders makes the finals. Doesn't matter if I picked him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Caveat. All right.
Yeah.
Avis, Milner, Feinsilver, Sherman, Josh Edmond, Zach Price, the high school young man, Cody Chittum, Travis Mastro, Omania, Victor V, Bianchi, Jaden Enriquez, ton of these, but these will be big brackets. So I will go Abbas, and I will go. I don't think Edmund's going to be on the right side of the bracket. So I'm just going to go chalk and take Milner.
Okay. I'm going to take Sherman and Fine Silver.
All right. Much more courageous than me.
Yeah.
All right. 57. This is a great weight. Here we go.
Yeah.
O'Connor, Lee, Franek, JQ, Saldate, Kropman, Mosher, Yapuli, and this is the all pronunciation weight class too.
Well, there you go.
Looks like Brock Mahler is going to come out of redshirt bump a weight at 57. So that's interesting. He's a guy that I have to imagine is going to get seeded. That'd be really. Let's start with does Mahler get the 2 seed or the 3 seed?
I would probably put him at the 3.
Okay. Okay. So when you're making your picks now, you kind of imagine him on the 3 line.
Yep.
Okay. So you're first here.
All right. So I'm going to take, well, this is one of my picks from earlier in the season. I have this guy breaking into the All-American on the stand. I'm going to take Franek.
Okay.
And Lee.
All right. Franek and Lee. Okay.
Let's go Thundering Herd of the North Dakota State Bison.
Yeah. I'm going to go Mahler and AOC.
There you go.
Okay. I didn't even realize he was AOC until I looked at that. All right. 65. Yes. Please give me O'Toole and Griffith in the finals. I want it badly. All right. Griffith, O'Toole, Weber, Ramirez, Hall, Formato, Bullard, Ogunsanya, Barzak, Cook, down the line, Facundo. There's rumblings that he's going to come out of redshirt. I'm going to go Griffith and O'Toole because I just want to see it so bad.
Yeah, there's a little asterisk here. Okay, same thing. I got to pull from my dude, Luke Weber, because he was the other guy that I picked to be on the stand.
Okay.
I'm going to go Griffith, Weber, but realistically, I really want to see Griffith, O'Toole.
Okay, let's go side pick. Who wins Griffith, O'Toole?
O'Toole, in my opinion.
Me too. All right, so there's no bet. All right. Okay. All right.
If that match happens, we both win.
Yeah, we both win. The fans win. The people win.
The fans, the people.
We're here for the people. All right, yeah. 74. Fine Silver, Foca, DeVos, O'Malley, Lott, Mako, Ishins, Flitz. Not a lot of other names that I see as potential finalists here. I can't imagine. So this is odds. You're first.
All right, I'll take. I'm going to take Foca, O'Malley.
Okay. I have to pick Foca because he was one of my guys that I said will be an All-American this year.
Yep.
And I will go Lout. I feel like I've been a little too chalky, so I'm going to try to get out of that. All right, 84. Hunter Bolin, Jonathan Lowe, Jeremiah Kent, Malchewski, Cochran, Gavin Kane, Cade King, Colton Hawks, who's made a world team, Salazar. Just looking at some of these names that pop up that I feel like have been in the rankings some. This feels kind of chalky here. I'll go Bolin Kent.
I'll go Lowe and I'll take the kid from Michigan State.
Okay, that's actually easier for me to write down, Michigan State. So, with a name like Mirikitani, you'd think I'd be used to it.
Right.
All right, 97, Elam, Pence, Cardenas, Clothier. By the way, that's three, I think I'm right, three Big 12 guys. Okay. Sloan is four Big 12 guys in the top 5. Cam Caffey is down to honorable mention, which is kind of crazy. Foy, Smith, Michael Beard, returning All-American. We'll talk about where he gets seated in a minute. Okay. Let's start with where Beard gets seated. I feel like Beard would be the 2 seed, would he not?
Well, I mean, I haven't really seen what Beard's done this year, so I can't really reference that. But based off last year, I mean, Beard, got 7th?
Yes.
And where did Elam get?
Elam placed ahead of him. I think Elam took 4th.
Okay.
Maybe 5th. But Elam was ahead of him.
So did Elam wrestle?
Sorry, go
did
ahead.
Elam wrestle Warner?
No,
I
I
don't
think
so.
Elam lost to Amin for 3rd, maybe.
No, because Warner got 3rd at 97.
We are efforting, folks. If you're just listening, we're pulling up the brackets real quick. $197, Ferrari 1st, Bonacorsi 2nd, Amin 3rd, Warner 4th, Elam 5th.
Okay, got it. And then Beard won
Beard was
overtime
7th.
against Buchanan. Okay, got
So
it.
they were 5 and 7.
Got
Placed
it.
5th and 7th. So
Okay.
he's probably the 2 seed, right?
Probably over Pence.
Yeah. Okay, so now your pick.
I'm going to take. I will take Cardenas when he gets seated, probably the 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I think he pulls an upset here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take Beard on the bottom.
Okay. I got Elam and Beard.
Got it.
Super courageous. All right. 285. Zach, this will be a bunch of 1-point matches. Number 16 to 23 are all in there. Okay. Elam, Fernandez, Wolfgram, Trefan, Metz, Nevels. Again, a bunch of Big 12 guys there. Mizzou, West Virginia, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Then Katka, Austin Harris coming out of retirement, Seth Nevels, Deontay Wilson, Jacob Seeley, Connor Doucette. So, all right, I'm going to go. I'm just going to go chalk, Elam Fernandez.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in time,
You haven't
really
picked chalk once, so you're allowed to.
yeah, I don't think I have yet.
No, you haven't. So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to.
All right. Well, I mean, do I have a lot of faith in, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23?
Could be chaos, right?
Yeah. I mean, once again, like this is a very open weight class when it comes to this, right? So, okay, I'm going to take Fernandez and North Carolina State. Going with the Southern boy.
There we go. Oh, by the way, Pat Popolizio was on Matt Chat. Was absolutely awesome. I don't plug those very often, but he was great. He's a program builder, a lot like Brian Smith, kind of took programs that were not good and made them really good. And his talk about the process of that was really interesting. Okay, so now this is the other thing that I wanted to get to. Arizona State, Michigan, Monday, 7:00 Central Time from Texas. Okay.
Okay.
So these are, we think, the most likely matchups. The lineup for Arizona State: Courtney, McGee, Vasquez, Parco, Teamer, Valencia, Coleman, Nummer, Norfleet, Schultz. Michigan, Medley or Suriano, Ragusin, Misic, Storr, Luan, Amin, Massa, Amin, Brucky, Paris. What's really interesting about this Michigan lineup, Suriano has not wrestled for them this year. Misic has not wrestled for them this year. Massa has not wrestled for them this year. And I think Amin's only wrestled once for them this year, Big Amin. So, and Brucky got hurt against Buchanan. I don't think he was injured, but got hurt because he lost on a restart point on a second escape. It was 1-1 with the second escape. Okay, so I am going to, unfortunately for Mark, his picks, I will get them from him before Monday. Okay, but we will put ours on wax now. I think that this is like a two-way pick at, I'll go first at 25. I would take Courtney over Medley, and I would take Suriano over Courtney. Does that make sense?
Yep, got it.
So I'm going to go either ASU/Michigan. This depends. What do you think?
I say Courtney against the world.
Okay. All right. All right. 33. Great matchup. Ragusin and McGee both. Let me pull up the rankings here. So this week too, we'll get into the rankings, but we only Flo and Intermat did updated rankings. So I'm sorry, on the team rankings, there was Intermat, Flo, and Open Mat on the individual rankings. So right now, at 33, McGee is 5 and Ragusin is 8. So who you got?
I'll take Ragusin.
Okay, you're going Michigan. I want this duel to be close, so I think Arizona State has to win this one. Okay. 41. If Misic wrestles, I'm picking him. So you going him or the freshman?
Micic.
Okay. 49. Who you got, Parko or Storr?
Arizona State.
Okay. Me too. I assume so far no bonus anywhere. I don't have any bonus anywhere. Do you?
If Courtney wrestles Medley, I think major decision.
Okay.
And if Micic wrestles, I think major decision.
Okay. All right. I think we got it. Okay. 57. Teamer for me, but I think Luan keeps it to like a 5 or 6 point match.
I'll take Teamer.
Decision?
Yep.
Okay. Valencia, Amin. So this one, the ranking's going to be really close. Let me look and see. Valencia is 7 and Amin is 11. But Valencia is like in a two-way tie at 7 with Wenzel. So I mean, you could call him 8. Kind of depends. Probably Wenzel's really 8 because 7 because he was a runner-up last year. Okay, so I think you're first here.
Yep, I'll take Valencia.
Okay, I will too. Okay, 74. I'm going first. I'm going to go Michigan +1 major.
I'm taking Michigan.
Decision?
Yep.
Okay. 84, Amin Nummer. So I know we're both taking Michigan. How bad do you have it?
I have Amin with a major.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Amin Tech. Okay. 97, Norfleet Brucky. This is such a style matchup, right? Like Brucky just wants to beat you up. Norfleet wants you to try to beat him up. You beat him up rather than zip you. Norfleet's not going to probably commit to riding as much as Brucky will. Norfleet's way more explosive on bottom than Brucky. Feels all in the world like it's a 3-2, maybe 4-3 match, just, you know, depending on riding times and escapes and reversals. I will take, let me see where the rankings are. I think I know who I'm taking, but just so people know. So this is interesting. Brucky is 9 and Norfleet is 10. So they're super, super close. Brucky's ranked 10-8-10. Norfleet's ranked 13-9-9 in those three sources. So their averages are literally 9 1/3 and 10 1/3. So really, really close. I'm going to take Norfleet with not a lot of conviction.
I'm going to take Michigan. Decision.
Okay. And then heavyweight, Paris Schultz.
Taking Schultz.
Taking Schultz. I'm going to take
Yep.
Paris. Okay. So let's count them up. You've got Arizona State 4. We'll go on Arizona State 4, 7, 10, 13, 16. And you've got Michigan at 3, 7, 10, 14, 17. So you have it 17, 16, Michigan. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to not count the first match, and then that'll be the swing match. I got Arizona State at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and Michigan 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I got 15, 15, and then without 125. So, I mean, to me, then if I'm right, it comes, obviously that, if I'm right about Suriano beating Courtney, but let's say this, guys, there's a bunch of swing matches here, right? Like we split heavyweight's a swing match, we split it. 97's a swing match, we split it. 65's, I think, a swing match. We both picked Arizona State. 33 is a swing match and we split it. I feel, and then obviously 25 is a swing match depending on who's wrestling. Like I know you picked Courtney, but I don't think it surprised you if Suriano would win that match, right?
No.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was interesting. I'll probably end up owing Grant a buffet when the weekend is over, but well, the way that works with
Yeah.
you're already appealing to our younger demographic. So you're one of those guys that eats, it goes directly to your biceps. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So Gary Abbott put out his blog. He calls this the top 10 stories of 21. So his number one, it's obviously we're a USA Wrestling podcast, but GT, I think we can agree. I would read this every year for years when I had nothing to do with podcasting or anything else. GA is the man. I got to spoke to him yesterday. Does a great job and really does a great thing is putting things in perspective. USA, 9 Olympic medals, 3 champs, 15 world championship medals. Pandemic, regular season was conducted. Iowa wins the NCAA title. Mensa Stock and Stevenson blasting the general public recognition. Dake beats Burroughs at the trials. Iowa hires Chun, first Power 5 women's program. Adeline Gray, 6 world titles, breaks JB's record of 5. Shane Griffith wins for Stanford and basically saved the program and probably 11 other sports. In any non-Olympic year, that'd probably be the number one story. I think
Right.
I think that story might be a bigger story than Iowa winning, depending on what part of the country you're from. Women's USA wins 2 age group women's world titles back to back. Those are things that you're a big part of. Elora Shilson become world champs at 2 age divisions. I don't think we can say enough about that. USA boasts 8 athletes who won Olympic and world medals. We'll skip this next one here about the NAIA change.
Thank you.
Record payout for living the dream, $1.4 million. 5 black wrestlers claim NCAA titles, the most in history, and there are 5 African-American wrestlers ranked number 1 right now. Trials moves to Fort Worth. I got to be a part of that. That was amazing. McKendree Women's wins the NCAA Nationals for the 2nd year in a row. Super young talent, NIL, then the Midlands thing, and then the wrestling cards, Flow By's track, 50 years of juniors, Morgan State. Okay, ton of stuff here. We've got about 10 minutes left, GT. What are your what are a couple of your favorite memories, thoughts of 21?
Well, I mean, to echo some of the USA Wrestling, I mean, having the Olympic results and success that we had was, it's reminiscent of, the 1980s when the USA was really dominant in men's and, basically women's freestyle. I mean, women's freestyle wasn't around, but having the dominance that we had there with our freestyle teams, that is going to be something that we're going to point to for a long time. There's individual like matches and things of that nature that I can think of, JB moving up a weight class, winning a world title in Oslo, still undefeated in world finals matches. Guy's just a monster, right?
He's an odd number finisher. He's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah, just first or third forever. I think, Adeline, 6 world titles, unprecedented success for her. Huge shout out to Adeline. Just paving a way for a lot of these women that are up and coming, the Shilsons, the Welkers, Emmett Allure, so, that's a huge moment, I think, for USA Wrestling, with Adeline continuing her dominance on the international scene. I think having the NCAA wrestling tournament when it was like kind of not a typical year, very closed off, not very many people in the stands. Seeing some of those guys be able to compete for a national title, in the midst of a pandemic when they got that opportunity taken from them, the year prior. So that was a really cool moment, I think, for me, is just seeing that, we were able to do that and we're able to do it successfully and everybody got a chance to compete. And with that same token, having Shane Griffith stand on the shoulders of the wrestling community and help save all those sports at Stanford, that, I think that's a really, really cool moment, doing that. And
that's interesting to me too, because they're a Nike school and they turn their singlets inside out. I think that's probably one time you'd be okay with it, right? Like it was sort of bigger than, maybe you're not okay with it. I shouldn't say that. Those are just, that's your opinions are your opinions, but the solidarity of that and the amount of coverage that they gave it on ESPN, you never know what makes somebody change their mind, become friends, whatever else. It's usually, you can tell what makes somebody not become friends or say no or a negative thing. It's like, oh, this person lied to me. They spoke behind my back. They did something that lacked integrity. But good things are usually a buildup of a bunch of things, and it was all those people. It was the Ray Blakes of the world, the Borellis of the world, and then, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, I think all those guys handled that with such professionalism, and then, once again, as a team decided to wear, just a black singlet, not necessarily representing the university, but representing the university in kind of like I don't know. I don't want to speak for them. I don't know why or the reasons behind some of the things they may have done, whether it be just a silent protest or, whatever it may be, whatever the reasoning was, it definitely leveraged itself to help the other athletes of Stanford, be able to continue to have their athletic opportunities. So I think as far as 2021 is concerned, it was a great year for wrestling. We were able to have an Olympic Games, a national championship, a world championship. We had an Olympic trials. We had a world team trials. So many amazing things happened in 2021 for wrestling, especially while on the USA Wrestling front.
Yeah, I made some notes. These are sort of really random order. The first one is watching Adeline Gray at the Olympics after she got done wrestling. Like I don't want to call her a cheerleader. I don't even think, just a huge supporter, just somebody that supported all the other athletes on her team, where most people, especially if that we would lose, would just stay in the hotel or whatever. So that was something. Listening to Burroughs and John Smith talk together, I'm a person that does play-by-play. I try to do the best I can. I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it. And, I find myself watching and listening to football and baseball and these other sports. Speaking of which, RIP John Madden, somebody, we could all, if you're in that business, learn from. But one of my favorite lines of the year was Jordan Burroughs explaining to John Smith what scared money don't make money means. It's like that's in our lexicon. I get to talk to guys like you and hopefully stay a little bit younger and hipper, but that is not a 55 or 60-year-old person saying. It was, and JB sort of educated him in the most respectful way possible. That really stuck out to me. Going to Fargo and coaching with my dad this summer meant a lot to me, just being able to do that and actually being able to introduce him to some people. You know, for years I was the one nipping at his heels, and not that he still doesn't know plenty of people, but just that, you know, that shoe could go on the other foot a little bit was really, really meaningful to me. I had COVID the last day of Fargo and was sick with COVID pneumonia. And the only good news of that, I mean, I literally thought I might not make it, you know, and I had lost a lot of weight, and I think that's what helped. But I was, the Olympics were on, you know, and if you're ever going to be sick and you want to find something to watch at 2 a.m, you know, like this is the time to be sick. And I still remember, you know, Mark doesn't know a ton about international wrestling, but he picked Gable. He picked Gable from the minute he won the trials. And I remember watching that match. And then when Gable gets gutted twice, you know, and goes down 4, I'm like, man, Mark, you were so close. I remember thinking that, like, Mark, you were so close, because like 13 seconds left on that restart, he's down 4 and he wins it. And I got off my couch, jumped up and down, and then coughed for 7 minutes straight. My lungs were so bad, you know, and I texted Mark. I'm like, you were, you know, and I think that probably happened all over the country. You know, people, I don't know Gable Stevenson. I know you do, but the vast majority of us don't. The vast majority of us don't know Tamyra Mensah-Stock. You know, we don't know David Taylor. We don't know these people. We know of them. We respect them. They represent our country. They represent our sport. But that was really amazing. 2 last things for me. One, we ran our event, the Border Brawl, and there was a gentleman that's a Navy officer that sang, and I literally almost started crying when he sang the national anthem. And we hadn't been able to do a GT in so long, and it was just meaningful to me. I get a little misty. It meant a lot. And then for me too, we moved, the last thing for me, which ties to this, is we moved the podcast. We moved the podcast from track, moved it over here. We were able to keep both podcasts going, the Mat Chat and the Weighing In. You and I talk about wrestling pretty much every week anyway. But I know the podcast is way better because of you. And I know Mark is way better because of you, because we all are now carrying sort of a third of the weight instead of half the weight. You know, today's fine. We can get through one episode, but we both know the pod's better when Mark's on with us, you know, yep. And, you know, Mark's like a big brother to me. You're like a younger, better looking brother to me. And, but we genuinely like each other. We like it when we disagree. It's always respectful. I respect both of your minds tremendously about wrestling. And I love when other smart people, you know, you and I talk about this all the time, collaborating with people that are smart. So my last thank you for the year would be to you and to Mark and to Gary Abbott and Rich Bender and Mike and Joe for getting us on the air, Mike Willis and Joe Wedra. You know, Mike moved on and they're both killing it for us. So I want to thank them.
Yeah. I mean, I never would have thought in a million years I'd be trying to help out on a wrestling related podcast. And then, you know, it's a lot of fun to exchange ideas and have differences of an opinion, because you have these conversations with people at wrestling tournaments, you know, late into the evening or, you know, like at breakfast when you're getting coffee, and it's like, you know, like I really just think this guy's really good. It's like, you couldn't be further from the truth, you know? So like, it's really cool to exchange those ideas. And I think having a round table where people can actually listen and, you know, get maybe some ideas validated or open up their mind to new ideas or concepts. You know, for me, I was never really into much of the rankings or the theory behind ranking and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, in coaching and other things, I'm like, I know where people are, but it's not my business, right? But then like being able to come onto the pod and learn from Mark and you on that, because you guys have been doing it for a really long time, has, you know, given me a new sliver of information that, I wouldn't have had previously. So, I want to thank you guys for that. And then of course, Gary Abbott, the man, could not do any of this stuff without, the godfather of basically communications for USA Wrestling. He is an institution. If you guys ever get a chance to, give him a shout out, talk to him. The man is a wealth of knowledge, and could not be happier to be in league with him with the pod. So
this is a terrible term because of my haircut, but Gary's a barbershop guy where you just let the guy go ahead of you in line so you can listen to him talk for 20 minutes. If you see him, you want to buy him a cup of coffee, you want to buy him dinner, you just want to sit and listen to him. He's very intellectually generous, very humble. And that's another highlight. I got to go to Gary's induction this year at the Hall of Fame, which meant a lot to me. One note, Drew Hildebrandt is at Penn State. That will go in the rankings next week. Penn State, unless something crazy changes, which won't because they're not wrestling, will probably be the new #1 in everybody's poll. For Mark, for GT, I'm David. Happy New Year. Much love. Thank you. Goodbye.